Looking at the launch document, and we have a couple items here. The first thing on the checklist is to download the IDE software, select it, and install it. This is pretty straightforward. Go to Google and type in the name of your software, in this case IDE IntelliJ. It's pretty straightforward because I'm using Java, and just Google it. It comes out right here. It'll have the right operating system selected. You have two options, Ultimate or Community. Community is the simplest. You just download it and you can start working with it. Ultimate really has a lot more bells and whistles in it. If you're a student, you go to either high school or college, this is completely open to you. You just have to, you can download this and request a free license. All you have to do here, go to Learning Tools, type in free, there's licenses for students and teachers. So if you're a teacher as well, you can get this and type it in, and you can just, you get all the fancy stuff, and your accounts, your license is good for 1 year. There's the community. There's also another version, .edu, so the IntelliJ edu, and that's nice for learning code. They make it easy to just download courses and a lot of interesting things like that. It's actually just it's the community version with some extra educational tools. So I've already downloaded and installed this. No big deal. I have it here, IntelliJ IDEA. I'm going to open it up, and now it's open. So we see here what the IDE looks like. IntelliJ IDEA is its name, and we have a couple options here. We can open a new project, and that's from scratch or with some from some boilerplate code that they provide. You can open an existing project, or you can get from VCS, and VCS is version control system, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Your teacher should provide you, if you're lucky, with some basic, with a sample URL that you can work with. So to a GitHub repository that already has like the starter code for you. So I have such a repository. I'm just going to paste it in here. There it is. Vaadin starter code is its name, and the location. So this is their own little place to put projects, and I think that's just a fine place, because IntelliJ IDEA projects are all going to be in IDEA projects. That works for me. Sometimes I call it GitHub, sometimes whatever. I'm going to go with the default here and call it this. And down here I'm going to click clone. And so what clone is going to do is it's going to make a copy. Oh, do I want to trust this project? I do want to trust this project. It's going to make a clone, a copy of that repository's code on my own machine here. Right? Now the first time we load it up, it's pulling it down and it's loading it all up here, and it started. It has a little README. It'll show you the README file if it has one, and it'll go through like through all the steps like that. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to follow through all the steps that they have given me in this step-by-step tutorial. So importing to an IDE, they had IntelliJ, right? And I opened, or I imported the code, they say that. So open the project. Here's the project, and that looks pretty good. But I'll be honest, there were some other steps I'd prefer you to take. So I think they're right here. Downloading the Vaadin starter. So this is something I've also done. Download their starter. This is their boilerplate code. I, for the purposes of the IA, give the one that your teacher use the one that your teacher provides you, and then there's this importing a Maven project to IntelliJ, and this is really good to go through these steps here, just because they have some extra optimizations that you can put in. So it says here, running a Spring Boot project in IntelliJ, and they explain the steps you should take. And we're going to go through those steps in just a second, but there's a couple more things here. for us to do. So enabling, this is enabling auto import and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow these steps. So the first time you run the application, what you need to do is go here, Java, and oh, that's very nice. Opens it up like that, and open up this one, java.export here. And it says module JDK not defined. Okay, now what that means is JDK is the Java development kit. Sometimes it's called an SDK, software development kit. Java just does something special. It disappeared, and it disappeared because it is defined. It's defined here. It's defined here in what they call the POM file. So this is all the dependencies, and this is a lot of, it's good to know what's happening behind the scenes here, but this is a list of all the different software that this framework depends on. Okay, so what's happening now is it's going to say it's importing Maven projects, and it's just going to be working for quite a while now, importing everything. Let's click to see it's indexing, importing, and things like this. So the first time you run it, it's going to take a long time, okay, to run, just because that's the name of the game here the first time. Subsequently, all the other times will go a bit faster. While this is doing all that, I'm going to go back here and look at this. So they say import, enabling auto import in IntelliJ. So you go to File, and actually these are preferences. Oh, there it is. It really is just taking a very long time to think through things. And if I follow, it said editor, general, auto import, and it tells me to select these two things to auto import new things. Apparently that makes the whole IntelliJ experience better. To check these two things off here. And then it also says if you don't use Swing, AWT, or JavaFX in other projects, add the following packages to exclude from import. I don't use those. I might use those in other projects sometime in the future, maybe JavaFX. But so I'm just going to do the rest. I'll leave the JavaFX stuff in. And I think the reason they do this is because I found when using it in the past, if I type in a button, it will want to automatically import those classes, and it won't know whether to use Swing, JavaFX, or Vaadin. And so this way, it removes any of those problems. So I'm going to maybe sometime in the future, but maybe I'll just have to remember to include those. So for now, I'm actually going to take care of all of these here. Okay, so now I've added them all, including the JavaFX one. I guess if I'll ever decide to do an IDE, make a JavaFX project in the future, I'll just get rid of that. But we'll leave this how it is now, and I'll click OK, apply, and now I'll wait for this to finish importing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause recording, and we'll see how long it takes. So it seems to have stopped. However, I don't think it's quite ready yet. And I say that because when I come here, I still see a couple problems. One is the green arrow is here, but there should be one right here. And I'll actually make my little picture disappear. And another problem, okay, is here. So now the green arrow has appeared. And I thought I saw some other dependency issues, but if you ever have any problems with it, it's not loading, one thing you can do is click over here on Maven. And Maven is a dependency management system. And so one way you could do is reload all Maven projects. You click on that, and it's just going to start that whole process of downloading dependencies over, and hopefully it will catch everything this time. Okay, looks like it's finished, so I'm going to click this play button here, and we'll see what happens. So some progress has been made. It started compiling and it started showing all these messages here. It starts off actually with this nice little banner, very impressive. And it goes through this whole process and it says it's compiling. And what that means here is it opened up this menu, this new tab in my browser, and it says front-end development build has not finished yet, please wait. Now, first time it runs, this will take a very long time. And then subsequently, every time after that, it should, well, the next time after that, it'll be faster, and then it'll level out at a certain amount. So please be patient. I've done this before where opening this up, I did it once, I got an error like this, and it just seemed to pause here. See, it's pausing like this here now. That's okay. It's going to take a while. Please be patient. If you really authentically feel that it's just stopped, it hung up somewhere, then you could press stop here, and then click the play button again and go through the process. See, it's still thinking, it's still doing things. So this first time takes a lot of time, and I'll be honest, I think my computer is being very cooperative now. First time I did it, it was not this cooperative at all, my first installation. Yeah, and so this is still thinking hard. We'll see. I'll pause the video, pause recording right now so we can, and then come back to it when there's something to see. Okay, there we have it. Hello world. Hello world, I'm happy to code and happy to be here. Sounds good to me. So this is just the starter code I provided for my students. And I don't know, the time, it seems about 5 minutes this whole process took, which I think for the first time around was super fast. So let's go back to the worksheet and take a look at what we need to do. So the first checkpoint, IDE software selected and installed. Yes, it was. And I chose IntelliJ IDEA is the name of it. Start project from starter code. I did. I downloaded that starter code project, and it is going. It is happening. Great. Local repository initialized. So let's see. Let's go to this. This is one of the steps here. If you come up here to the top, you see it should say Git. And if you're starting from your project from scratch, it will say something along the lines of VSC, which again is version control system, and you have to specify Git. It's like the first option. But because we cloned this project from GitHub, it already assumes we're using Git, which I think is a fair assumption. So now the question is, what do? We have a cloned project. So let's go ahead and set up, well, it's already been initialized for us, but let's make our first commit. We can go over here to the side where it says commit and look at any changes. I don't think we've made any changes, so maybe let's make a small change. Let's go just here to the home view, and it says hello world, and I'll just put hello world. I'll put another exclamation mark there. Very ambitious, of course. And if we come here to commit, now it says one file has changed, and that's the one, of course, that I modified. So I'm going to say, yeah, all these changes, let's include them in my commit, and I type in my commit message here. So we'll call it initial commit. And what is this here? So I found that it's helpful if you click this setting button and before commit, you disable analyze code. I've gotten errors with it unnecessarily. Just it makes things go a lot nicer. You can use this little tab here. You also have these update project, which means pull it from the online repository. Commit, which means pull it which means do what we just did, make kind of a save point. And if I click commit now, it'll just, if I click this, it'll open this up, and I make my commit. And what that commit is, it says it's committed, is it's made a save point on my computer, right? But right now it's on my local repository, meaning on my computer. I want to push it to my other repository. So I don't know if I have, I'm not sure if what would happen here. So one thing, it says share project on GitHub. Don't do that. Instead, you'll click on manage remote repositories. And this is the one that I pulled it from. I don't want it actually on this repository. I don't think I'll have to make it, I don't think it'll appear this way for you because I am the owner of that repository, so it recognizes that it's my repository. You will have access to my repository, but you won't be able to push to it. Instead, you're going to add the repository you're given, and you might say, well, what is that? What repository is that? Let me pull over and something like this. So this is an empty repository. And if you're my student, you will get a link to such a repository. It will be empty, and it has some instructions on how to, create something here. What we're going to do is we're going to copy this right here. You can just click this little button, it means copy, and go back and just add it to, let me show you again how to do that. Click here, oops, to manage remotes, meaning remote repositories, add, and I'm going to click this and I'm going to add it like that. Okay, now it says, I haven't logged in with my account from GitHub yet. So what do? I can log in via GitHub, but actually you have to use your token. So this is here. I don't think this should be here because GitHub really doesn't allow it anymore. Use token. And the way use token works is you click generate, and it'll take you to your GitHub account, and you can make a token here. And a token is just a really long number. Okay, I'm going to put no expiration. So IntelliJ GitHub IA project. I'm going to call it that. Vaadin. And I'll go down here. Just leave these as they are and click generate token. And if you click generate token, this is the token right here. And again, you can click this little copy and says make sure you copy your personal token now. You won't be able to see it again, right? This is a one-time viewing, so to speak. And you go back to IntelliJ and just paste that token in there. Click login. Okay, and now the remote repository is set up. So if you click here push, or you could do commit and push, but if you click push here, it'll say initial commit update and generated project. Interesting. I guess there was multiple commits to that commit anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to, I'm just going to push that project over. It says pushing down here. Pushed main to new branch in main. And if I go here to the repository, this was the repository I had shown you. If I refresh, I'm just going to click refresh. And there it is. There's a repository with all my previous commits. It says 3 because I was importing. When I cloned it, it came along. There apparently were some other commits with it. So with this step, I localized the initial repository. I linked my local repository to the assigned remote repository, right? I have my first commit pushed to remote repository. And now I have to deploy my project. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, okay, right here, wait, GitHub repository URL. Let me just grab that here and fill it out. Maybe I can I'll just paste that in right there. Beautiful. Now, deployment. So for deployment, it gets a little different because we have to go back to our tutorial. And if we come down here, it will say project deployment. And it gives us a couple examples, but deploying a Vaadin project application on Heroku. So Heroku is one of the platforms I suggest because they basically take everyone. They make it really possible to do all sorts of stuff. And so this tutorial takes you through setting up and building a production. So let's just go through it step by step here. Okay, so so first, creating a Heroku account and installing Heroku CLI. So CLI is the command line interface. So first go to Heroku, sign up for an account, and then they talk about installing Heroku CLI. So I'm going to go ahead and click sign up here, but I don't think you'll be surprised to hear that I already have a Heroku account. So let me just log into that. So I've logged in and I have no projects. It's completely empty like this. And so I might be tempted to click here, but actually after we sign up, they want us to go through and install Heroku CLI. I have already installed that, so I am just going to go on to this next process here. So using Heroku CLI, I have to create and deploy my application. So I'm just going to open up the terminal. Okay, great. And copy Heroku login. Oh, I could just click this button. Okay. Press any key. Where's the any key? Log in. Thankfully it remembered, so I can, once I've logged in, I can close this and close that too. Come back to this and it says I'm logged in. Great. Next, install the Heroku Java plugin. Okay. Okay, it's doing something fancy here. While it's doing that, I'm going to go back down and look at the next step. The project uses Java 11, whereas Heroku expects Java 8. That's true. I've said mine, I think, involves Java 11. The way to check what version of Java you have is you go here to projects, and remember how we talked about, well, actually, there's multiple ways. We did talk about dependencies, but if you go up here, actually, and we go to edit configuration, and this, mine actually has Java 13. So I'm going to go ahead and remember to use Java 13 on mine, which is fine, right? Java 11. So, but it says Heroku expects Java 8 by default. So to specify that, we should just use something else here. So let me go ahead and use this. Although I am curious to see what my POM file says. It seems to have some dependencies. So the way I can, and it says, oh, right here, Java version 11, Vaadin version 13. Ooh, so I see it doesn't matter. I think it would be easier to just change the project here to run on Java 11. Just because. So I already have it installed. If you don't have that installed, you can select alternative GRE, and it's going to load up here. Oops, nope, I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted. The way you do it is as follows. You go here to project structure. Okay. Here is your SDK 13, and I want it to be 11. I have 11, but if I wanted to add, I click Add, Download JDK, and it will actually, it's nice enough to give me a drop down list here. So I would do 11, stuff like that. So I'm just going to change mine to 11 here, just for the sake of consistency, right? And in a way it's easier. I'd rather change it than change this because I don't know where else in this it might talk about Java. So, you know, just be aware of things, small little things like that. Honestly, it might not have caused any problems at all, but it's always worth a look there. Okay, so because I made that change, I'm now going to click build here, and that kind of runs it without running it, and we'll see what happens here, if anything really changes with it. I can see down here it's building. In the meantime, as it's doing that, I'm going to go back to the tutorial and I'm going to set up this file, right? It says, to ensure Heroku will run on a Java 11 environment, create a system.properties file under the project's root directory. So the root directory is just this main one. I'm going to right click, new, and I'll just put file. The file name is system.properties. I want to add it. Yes, I do want to add it to GitHub. And they said to make the contents of it like this. Okay, and that's it. That's all I need to do. I close it, and sure enough, there it's system.properties. It's in my root directory. Okay, I'm going to check on the state of this installation, and I'm going to check on the state of this build, and it looks like it's working. And I'm just going to run the app one more time, just so I'm sure that everything is functioning correctly before I build it. So the next step is create a new application. Replace app name with the name of your choice. Oh, so this is on Heroku CLI. So I'm back in the terminal. Type that in, and again, I don't want to call it app name. I want to call it. What do I want to call this project? So I am making an attendance checker. So I'll call it Club Attendance Checker. Cat. Ooh, very. Club attendance. Oh, ran away. Okay, that's always a good sign. Attendance checker. Yeah, sure. Why not? And it's doing something there. I'm going to go back to the Heroku. This is the old one. This is the new one. Deploying an app on. Okay, I did that. Enable Postgres plugin. We do not have a database at this point, but maybe in the future we will do this. And now I have to deploy the optimized jar file you created in the previous section. Oh, okay. I guess I kind of skipped the previous section. Oh, the previous section wanted me to build a production optimized jar. So that's a Java executable. Oh, I never do things in the right order. So this is so I copy this and I have to run this in the terminal. So with the terminal, we kind of have, oh, okay, looks like I didn't do it right. We kind of have two options here. This is one terminal I could use, but I can also use the terminal provided here, and that might be more comfortable for many of you. And it's convenient because when it opens, it always opens in the root directory of the file, which is exactly where I need to run this command from. So, right, highlighted commands in my IDE. So let's go ahead, click this, run, and what that does is it compiles and makes that jar file. All right, let's take a look here. This is still running. Oh, hey, it worked. Good news, everyone. And it looks exactly the same. Oh, and you can even see the extra exclamation mark I put in. Great, amazing. Very excited by that. All right, I'm going to close both of these down, actually. I'm going to close. We can't see anything here yet. And I'm going to go back to Vaadin here. It says must start with a letter, end with a letter, digits, and can only contain lowercase letter, digits, and dash. Okay, well, if that's going to be the case, then I'll call it club attendance I'll just call it that. Okay, and now it's going to create that file. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but this is kind of how production often actually looks, development looks. So here it's, I ran this command, and that's in this terminal, and it seems to be going along here. It looks like it's still working on something. That's fine by me. It can still work on it. Going back down here, though, the next step, I actually need to deploy using, I need to go to this correct directory. Okay. All right. Good news, it's finished. It said it took 3 minutes to process. I don't believe that. I think it took longer. Okay, so the next step, we're almost done here at the end. We created the app. We can skip the database and then deploy this. Now, I do see a small problem in that I think I need to list the file in question, right? That was done. So if I go here to target, it has the name of the file here. It's called Flow CRM Tutorial because that's the original where I got this template from. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, the file might be a bit different in name, but here it is. And so this is the one I want. So how do I get it? How do I access it from the terminal? So this is a little bit of terminal magic here. Oh, and you could see it has created this. So ls, so I need to figure out where I am. I'm in ls right now. I'm in these directories. So I'm in my root directory on the computer. So I do want to go to the right directory. My projects are in IDEA project. So if you do cd IDEA, and if you press tab like this, it will fill in the rest. So cd is change directory. I go to that directory. ls is list the files in there. There's only one folder, Vaadin starter code. That's actually the project. So Vaadin starter code. And actually here is where I could type it in. Now, interestingly enough, this is now, and these two are in the same place. You could see that. They have identical signatures. So I could have just logged in from Heroku here and done it all there. Wouldn't that have been much simpler? Okay, well, anyway, let me just grab this and I'm gonna paste this in here. And before I press enter, I just have to make sure everything is correct. So 1.0 snapshot.jar, I think that is the name, 1.0, yep, that is actually the name. And my app name is Club Attendance, so I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste that part here, and hopefully that will actually work. Let me see what other, okay, and then open the application in the browser. Okay, that is actually the next step. So this might take a bit of time. I'm gonna pause and we'll be back when it's done. Okay, that took 2 minutes or so. Wasn't that long compared to what I've sat through already. Okay, and then the last step is Heroku open. So I'm going to Heroku open it. And I guess it'll open up the browser somewhere. Ooh, missing flag. Oh, I see. And then open application in your browser. Maybe. Okay, well, actually, I'll just do this. I'm just gonna click that, and if we can just go to my browser like that, well. Hey, there it is with the double exclamation marks and everything. Very impressive, very good. So with that in mind, let's go ahead. We have this already copied over, so we can put our deployment URL here. Oh, it was green. and then make your first deployment. Time to say hello world. Okay, wow. So that's it. Well done. If you got through it all, I'm sure that last step, number 7, was quite a bit for many of you. But on one hand, think about how much you learned. This stuff happens all the time. People do this every day. And you are now part of the club of people that know how to do it, huh? And there's a lot more that coming up. So take a break. Well done. Time to celebrate the official launch of your IA. Well done.